Better? Okay. Finally, I made it here. Please, tell me this is a first class. This is a first class, yes? Yes. Making an impression here. Getting points. Okay, so my name is Lighton. And I will be taking you in ICT 1110. So you're stuck with me between now until somewhere around November, I think, somewhere there. So the entire year. There were plans, though, to have one of my colleagues be a part of this. I don't know if he's still interested. If that's the case, then he's probably going to come through and teach 1 or 2 modules. I'm not sure if he's going to decide to teach the computer systems component or the computer architecture component. Well, that's besides the point. So usually, like the first lecture is almost always an info session to give you an idea of what the course is all about, what to expect, and I mean, I know there's probably people in here that probably have friends that are in 2nd year or 3rd year, so they already have an idea of what exactly we're going to cover. That's fine. I should mention, though, that there's going to be a few minor changes, right? Number one, in the way that the modules are actually going to be taken, right? Though we're going to cover the modules. So you notice certain things that were covered in the 2nd term are going to be covered in the 1st term. By the way, there's almost always a complaint, right? That I whisper when I'm, please, can you hear me? No, okay, the speed part is fine, but am I audible enough? Can you hear me? No. Oh. Now this is strange, right? When I asked, can you hear me? There are people that said not really, and I'm confused here. Okay, I'll try and shout. I don't know if maybe it's the time or something. I don't know. It's 17. Right. So this is just going to be an info session, right? I was not around when apparently there was orientation, department orientation, talks and whatnot. I don't know what happened there, but here's me telling you welcome to UNZA, right? I hope you have fun. You are stuck here between now until 20, what is it, 22 or 2023? 23. Ah, there we go. So you're going to be here for a very long time. I would enjoy the ride if I were you. Although there are probably going to be people, and I'm sorry, I know it's not funny, right? But there are people that will likely go beyond 2023. That's fine. Life happens, right? Like when you fail a course and you have to repeat and whatnot, it's a prerequisite, and you lag behind, right? So, yeah, so I hope you enjoy the ride. I enjoyed the ride myself. I was a student here many, many years ago. Although I was not a student in the School of Education, I was a student in the School of Natural Sciences. That's besides the point. I had fun, and I see UNZA as being an integral part of my formative years, at least insofar as my career is concerned, right? So I learned a lot here, met a lot of smart people, you know, and I'm sure you're going to do that as well, you know. Maybe I should stand here. Okay, should I maybe in front or something? So, just a brief summary about ICT 1110, because I mean, it's a first year course. It alongside EDU 1020, I think. 1020. Yeah, more or less like mandatory courses for people doing the B.ICT with education program, right? So I mean, this block diagram just shows you the different courses that you're going to have to pass through before you graduate. So 1st year, 2nd year, 3rd year, and 4th year. Although at some stage, I think towards the end of the year, we'll have a lengthy chart about these other courses. You notice that some of the things in 4th year especially are electives, right? So you get to choose what exactly you want to do, depending on what your career aspirations are, right? So one of the other reasons why I decided to put up this slide is because usually misconception, right? These things are all connected, especially the courses that are offered in the department, right? You will notice that the things that you're going to be covering in EDU 1020 more or less be aligned with what we're going to cover in ICT 1110. So if I were you, I would really pay attention to what's being discussed in EDU 1020. Of course, you have to pay attention ICT 1110, otherwise, you know, it won't be nice, right? It won't be a sad ending, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so in terms of activities in the course, I mean, there are really 3 core activities, right? So we'll have like traditional lecture sessions where Lighton will stand in front of you for about an hour, 3 times in a week, so it's a total of 3 hours. Then we go through a bit of theory. In certain instances where there is, or where a module or a topic is more, you want to probably pick one of those things. No, that's fine. So, maybe I was whispering. But there are certain instances where we'll cover topics that are more practical in nature, and so such instances will probably have, you know, short practical sessions in class, so as to get you started before you get into the tutorial sessions, which brings in my next activity, right? There will be a total of 2, nominally it's supposed to be 2 tutorial sessions in a week, right? An hour long each. But it's usually the case because of difficulties in coming up with an appropriate timetable. I mean, there are people minoring in maths. I don't know if there's maths here. Maths. There's people minoring in maths, in languages. Oh, wow. Okay, one. Civic education, history. You know, so there's, bottom line is there's a number of minors, and so coming up with a timetable that fits through all the different you know, timetables aligned with your minors is a bit of an issue. So in certain instances, the tutor might decide to actually have one, for a particular group, 1 tutorial session that is going to be 2 hours long in that particular week, right? But this will be organized in due course. Anyway. And typically what happens in the tutorial sessions, unlike the traditional lecture sessions, is you get to solve predefined problem sets, right? So we prepare problem sets that we think are going to be helpful in helping you understand the theory introduced in class, right? And then in certain instances, for, again, courses that are practical in nature, you get to do a bit of practice. And this generally gets to happen in the second term when we start looking at the computer architecture component, right? So I know the NIPS instruction set has been a bit of an issue here. But I don't know, we should find a solution to that. Okay, and then the last activity is obviously assessments, right? There has to be a way in trying to see if you understand what has been conveyed to you, what has been taught to you. And we have 3 core assessments: quizzes, class theory tests, and the final exam. And there's actually a slide dedicated to this. Okay. There's a slide dedicated to this. I'll talk a little bit more about the breakdown of marks and scores and whatnot. I mean, the 100 marks, how are they distributed amongst quizzes, class theory tests, and the final exam. I'll talk more about this. Resources are almost always, not almost, but resources are always provided. These are links to freely available resources. Right, so when you cover a particular module or topic, at the end of next slide will probably be a bibliography slide that lists the different resources that you can access for free. But if you're obsessed with textbooks, the content that we are covering is aligned to this book, right? Loosely aligned to this book. You'll find a number of topics that we're going to cover in here. Also in here as well. I shall share these if you don't feel like writing, but you can write because sometimes people rant about things that are not here, right? These are not notes, these are slides. They are meant to guide me so that I don't stray away from the righteous path, right? Anyway. Yet another book if you're interested, right? Really nice book that's going to be very helpful when we cover the MIPS instruction set architecture in the second term. And I was actually quick to explicitly state the version of the book, otherwise the edition, we're going to be using because this changes quite often, right? So you probably notice that the previous version of this version doesn't have content that was, or the previous version doesn't have some of the content that is in here. So you probably want to make sure that you We keep up with the different editions that we're using. I should include the edition here. So 9th edition here, 5th edition, just in case, right? And then in terms of some of the software tools that we are going to be using as we introduce the really wonderful topics associated with this course is VirtualBox, which is a hypervisor. It kind of helps us to, when we start looking at operating systems, it helps us gain more insight into other operating systems without you like wiping out your existing operating system, right? So, off you go. And then there are a number of utility tools that are going to be introduced. You see them in the slides and they'll come up in the practical sessions. Most of these utility tools that I use is small software components are actually bundled with Ubuntu, right? So I use Ubuntu version 18.0.4, right? So if you're interested in replicating some of the things that I'm going to be showcasing in class, some of the examples that we're going to be going through in class, I highly encourage you to familiarize yourself with that operating system. Although we almost always have a tutorial session where we actually get to install and configure Ubuntu, right, within VirtualBox. So, yeah, but I just thought I'd mention that. And then once we cover the MIPS, I mean, there are a number of software tools that we use. It's just that the ones that are not listed here can easily be installed using Ubuntu. They're more or less like utility tools, right? Not full-fledged software components. And then when we start covering, looking at the MIPS instruction set architecture, we shall use QtSpim. Again, it's just a simulator, right? Trying to help us understand exactly how to write MIPS assembler or MIPS assembly language code. And then finally, we get to cover a topic called logic gates or digital logic circuits towards the end of term 2. I want us to use logism this time around. We rarely do this because we run out of time, right? We cover the theory, but we don't get to do any practice. But this time around, the goal is to do this, so we're going to use logism for that. We can interrupt if you want, or maybe we can wait until the end, I don't know. Order, right? Question is at the end or something. I don't know if you've been taught, I don't know if this was taught to you guys during orientation. Things have changed slightly. There's a mandate for all courses to be administered using software platform called Moodle, right? It's, oh, you were introduced to this, you were taught about this, right? It's nothing more than a learning management system, right? So everything we're going to be doing in class, you know, sharing of lecture notes and slides and resources, submission of assignments that requires, you know, like actual submission, like take-homes, you typically have take-home quizzes, will be done via the Moodle, right? So what I'm trying to say here is if you don't have access to the Moodle, you will not be able to actively participate in the course, right? So you want to make sure you have access to this. I don't know if I have a slide about this, but in case I don't, there's a training session that's going to be organized. We are already talking to the library. We haven't settled on a date because we wanted to find out from people which date and time would be appropriate for everyone. In the past, what we've done is we've just replaced one of the normal lecture sessions for the training session, right? We can't do that because the lectures are on Saturday and 17 to 18, right? The people at the library are busy, you know, the people doing the training. So we're going to have to find another day. I want us to think about this, and then maybe tomorrow we can do a quick poll to find out which of the days is going to be okay for everyone. Do you understand what I mean? It's going to have to be perhaps next week or after next week. I would prefer it if it's next week, actually. Right, so everything is going to be shared using the Moodle. We shall have a session. Perhaps we shall also have a tutorial session to talk more about what the Moodle is all about, right? But before we sort out this Moodle issue, you will find the notes here, right? Publicly available. So this slide, once I get home, I shall upload the slides and you access them here. Do you understand? All you have to do is just click one up or four up. Yeah. You shall also be able to access electronic copy of the syllabus. And this is bad, right? This is, I always joke about saving the trees. This is bad. We shouldn't be printing. This is probably the only time this is the only time I'm going to print out something, a handout, right? Unless if we have a quiz or something. So you want to get into the habit of familiarizing yourself with how you can go about accessing the notes online using the Moodle or using our course web page, not website, it's a web page, right? This is one web page which has everything, so just click on links, right? Interesting enough, right? Beginning was that last year? Last year, I think we actually did a lot of that last year. We started experimenting a lot with, I don't know if you, it's not like I'm trying to show off when I came with this, right? I record screencasts of the lecture sessions, right? So this lecture is going to be recorded, and then it will be archived to a publicly accessible platform. So if you want to revisit this, if like you feel like, oh, there's something that Lighton said, and like you may be dozing or something, you can go here. This link will take you to a YouTube playlist where we routinely upload the screencasts, right? So this entire 45-minute long lecture is going to be archived and will be accessible on the playlist using this link. And then, I guess as part of the introduction, I'm probably going to rant a little about so-called Vision 2030. Anyone familiar with Vision 2030? Yes. What's Vision 2030? It's not in the notes, but no. Anyone? No, it's not it.
Vision 2030 pertaining to what?
Zambia's Vision 2030. Anyone know about it? Yes. What is? I don't know. So there are a number of goals, right? But I was kind of hoping people would talk a bit more about the broad goal objective that's more aligned with what we're doing here. So they're saying Zambia aspires to be, is it an information and knowledge-based society by 2030? If you haven't figured this out, it's one of the reasons why some of these programs have been sacrificed so far as bursaries are concerned, but I think the vast majority of people in here, I would be surprised if the figure is less than 90%, have funding from the government, right? This is how important, ICTs are, right? The sciences is more focused now on STEM fields, right? So go figure. Anyway, so we'll run a bit more about Vision 2030, just briefly, so that we understand why we're doing this. Although granted, right, Vision 2030 has very little to do with ICT 1110, but it has everything to do with the program that we've decided to pursue, the Bachelor of ICTs with Education. Okay. Right, so I was saying in the slide that additional course resources are going to be available in the YouTube playlist, which is here, screencast, right? Last year there was a plan, right, to say maybe if people have questions, because in certain instances I actually don't get to attend the tutorial sessions, so we toyed around with the idea of having like live question answer sessions using like YouTube Live or something, some live streaming of sorts where people can ask questions. Those that are shy, right? I used to be shy myself. You don't want to ask a question because you think you're going to look dumb, right? They'll laugh at you. But it turns out that the question you're thinking about asking is the same question that everybody else is, trying to figure out here. But anyway, so we'll try and see if we can do this, right? The reason for doing this also is to try and reinforce some of the things we're going to introduce here, right? Especially when we're talking about computer software, for instance. We look at the broad categories of computer software, cloud-based, web-based applications, desktop applications, all those fancy things. It's always nice to be able to relate to something that you have used before. And I know, right? How many have Instagram? How many use Instagram? Yeah, the millennials, right? Thank you. Yeah, so this is the thing, right? And then in certain instances, there are certain files that are extremely large, so it becomes difficult for us to share them on the course webpage. And what we have been doing these last couple of years is we use a peer-to-peer platform called DC, right? It's called the Direct Connect. It uses the Direct Connect protocol. It works more or less the same way as, I don't know if people have downloaded things using torrents or something. Yeah, so it's similar, kind of like, I guess, technology, right? The way the technology works. And so we share large files using the Direct Connect protocol, right? And I think in the slides is, I guess, a URL called list.user.zm/1207 or something. I don't know. So that's how that's the link to the hub address that you use to actually get access to large files. So large files like ISO images, for instance, for operating systems. Like when we get to the stage where we want to start playing around with Ubuntu and VirtualBox, these files are too large for us to share using the course web page, right? So it's a lot easier here. Some reasonably sized software tools will obviously be available on the course web page, which is here, right? I still use a primitive system of, the screencasts, but I can't use the computer's microphone because, like, if I'm standing here, it won't be really audible, right? And so at some stage, you have to synchronize this and that, and she's a bit, I don't know why I'm saying that. But anyway, so in terms of the grading, right, the distribution of marks is as follows. Perhaps if there's one thing you want to take away from this info session, please, it's this. This is extremely important, right? It's a 20, 30, 50 split where 20% of the 100 marks go towards quizzes, 30% are allocated towards class theory tests, and then 50% goes towards the final exam. So what we're saying is a continuous assessment has a cumulative total of 50 marks, broken down into quizzes and class theory tests, right? We've traditionally written a total of 20 quizzes. So it's like almost every week or every other week or something. And if your math is correct, you notice that each quiz session is worth like a mark or something, right? Make no mistake, that mark is important, right? Make a difference between getting an A+, right? Because you got 6 points, right? An A+, and as a joke, I know. An A+, or on a serious note, it can make a difference between you passing or failing, right? So, people have made a mistake in the past of thinking, I'll skip today's quiz. It's fine, it's just 1 mark. And I've seen them come back, right? And then they come and join us maybe when they're in 2nd year, or come and join us when they're in 3rd year. Fortunately, unfortunately for me, apparently when I was a student myself, there was such a thing as you being excluded from a school. Apparently that's not the case anymore, right? Senate decided to sit and they decided no more exclusion one, so you can repeat the course for as long as you want. So if you want, you can continue failing until you continue writing it. 2nd year, you write it, because it turns out this is not a prerequisite, right? So 3rd year, you come back. 4th year, you come back if you want to. But what I'm saying is you want to, if I were you, not you, but if I were you, I would really make sure that I just force myself to write all of these assessments. Doesn't matter if you get 5 out of 10, that's like 0.5 marks, it's fine. The cumulative total is what's important, right? The end goal is the 20 marks that you're after, right? And then again, traditionally, we generally write a total of 4 class theory tests. So we come in here and we sit for 45 minutes, 45 to an hour, and then we write tests, right? 4 of them, usually it's like 2 every term. So we're going to write 2 tests this term. These tests are going to be based on the computer systems component. And then we shall write 2 tests next term, which are loosely going to be, I guess, aligned towards the computer architecture component. And this is a big one here. This is difficult. In certain instances, there are take-home quizzes where you get to have 24 hours to work on the quiz and then you submit it, right? The vast majority of them are in-class quizzes where you sit down and you have like 10 to 15 minutes to write the quiz. It's nice. I like it myself. I mean, even though I wish I could write, but maybe I should start writing also. But it would be cheating, right? Because that's not funny, right? It was a joke, but it's not funny. And then, so you see, again, the reason why you want to pay particular attention to the continuous assessment here is you want to get the maximum possible scores from the continuous assessment so that when the time comes for you to write the exam, it doesn't really matter if you get a low score in the exam. The issue with the exam is it's based on everything covered in the academic year. right? I mentioned that I was a student here. When I did a course that's related to this, it was split into two, right? So I did a computer systems course, and then I did a computer architecture course, right? The message I'm trying to convey here is that it can be too much, and so you want to make sure that you maximize on the number of marks, the marks that you potentially get from the continuous assessment score. Is that fine?
Yes.
And then finally, sometime in November, it's always somewhere in November, we go and sit somewhere. I don't know if it's a sports hall. Where were we this? Is that around? Oh, we usually go to the demographic lecture theater, where we sit and follow me on Instagram. First name, last name. I have video snippets of people writing the exam, right? There were sad faces. I don't know why they were sad, but I'm getting good at jokes. Okay, so to give you an idea of this issue of, I think this is really important, right? This must sink in. I said there's one thing you want to take away from this info session, it is this. This has to sink in. So I thought I would get a snapshot of cumulative continuous assessment scores from last year. The student details are masked, obviously, but now I won't say who failed or who passed, but you can literally tell here. But you notice that everything from column D all the way up to, I guess, column number AA, I guess are the assessments, right? So these are the assessments, obviously. And if you're able to follow through, and if you can do this at your own time, at home, before you sleep, please do this before you sleep, right? Download the slides and then go through this because you want this to sink in. You can literally see what was happening here, that the people that were, I hope there's an example. Do you see this guy called Central African Republic?
Yes.
The people like Central African Republic here, where you're getting a 0 from a quiz, right? 0, 0, 0, 3, 1. The thing is, what happens is, this last column, I'll talk a bit more about this. This person, the rank in class, obviously, number 58, but the cumulative total for this person was what? 6, right? That's a problem. It's a problem because for this person to pass, I don't know if they passed, should check, but for them to have passed, they needed to get 78% in the exam. I'm sorry to have to say this, but the results from the exam are generally sad, right? People pass for the most part, but the performance is not as good as when you write like a class theory test. I mean, there are people that scored like probably, I think, 88 and whatnot, but for the most part, most people probably hover around the midpoint of the bell curve, right? Somewhere 45, 50, somewhere there, right? So you want to avoid this. You want to make sure that you are like, this is a good example here. This is a problem. I chopped off the people, right about 65 people, I chopped off people. Where's Cameroon? 36, yeah, thanks. Yeah, so you want to be like Cameroon, where all he needed was to get 36% in the exam. But make no mistake, right? There's this policy as part of the ones, it's not me, where I don't know if you have access to these regulations, but for you to pass the course, you must pass the continuous assessment and the final exam. Right, so in respect, whether you like it or not, you must ensure that for you to pass the course, you must get a minimum of 45% in the CA and 45% in the exam. Understand what I mean? So you must pass the CA and you must pass the exam for you to pass the course. So even if this guy here who had 12%, because he didn't pass here, right? This is like 12%. Even if they got 90% in the exam, they would not pass this course. Do you understand? Because they failed the continuous assessment. I hope that makes sense. Write down the questions in case there'll be questions towards the end or something. And then, I mean, it's just like a test. I think with a test, right, is because the tests are out of 30%, and kind of, I guess if you distribute the marks over the 4 tests, it's like every test is out of 7.5 marks. That's a lot, right? That's like equivalent of 7 quizzes, if you haven't figured that one out yet. So you want to be, I don't know if Cameroon was not that good now, was it? It's fine, I mean, but it's like 40, 47, 40, what is this? 45%? What is this? Don't know. Oh, are you doing maths? Yes, 45. I don't know. He knows. So you want to make sure that you study hard for the test. Usually, right, an announcement is sent out in good time, maybe 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before. We are going to write a test on such and such a day. In fact, if you go to the last page of this document, you will notice that you know exactly when you're going to write a test. So you already know, right? So you can, I mean, these are like tentative dates and schedules and whatnot. So we know that class theory test number 1 is going to be on the 26th of March, right?
24th.
What, 24th?
Yes.
No, 26th. The 24th is the beginning of the week, which is...
24th.
Oh, you didn't want this, right? You thought you wanted... Oh, it's okay. Is there anyone else who wants this? Did you do special paper 2?
Yes.
Are you sure it's the 24th? Okay.
What the one you're having is different.
So it's going to be on a Thursday, right? The 24th is a Monday.
Oh.
Sorry, maybe it's a maze. Maybe the columns are confusing. Right, so the test is going to be on a Thursday, 17 to 18. Right, so instead of having a lecture session like tomorrow's lecture session, today is Wednesday, we would have a test. Do you understand this? Doesn't matter if it's 24th, maybe it's me being confused because of the times here, it doesn't matter. But the key takeaway point here is you want to make sure that you study for the test, so that when the time comes, you get the maximum possible scores from the test, right? Sometimes we usually have a makeup test towards the end, just because the results are usually not that good, right? To try and bump up people and whatnot, you normally have a makeup test, which is why you have column V here, right? It's not important. But in all these different instances, you notice that all these different students have a corresponding weighting here, right? So out of 20 marks, this guy got 13 out of 20, which is reasonable, I guess, right? The same goes for the weighting for the test. So this, let's look at Cameroon, I guess. Cameroon got a weighting of 13 out of 30, right? It's not that good, but I guess it's fine. Yeah, not good, but I guess it's fine. But the bottom line is, right, even if Cameroon didn't really do as well as, in the quiz, but the key thing here is when everything is factored in, Cameroon did reasonably well, right? I mean, he got 26.7 out of 50, which is okay, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure Cameroon passed, I don't know. Right, and then, so, I mean, this thing here is what I was talking about, right? For you to write the exam, you must pass. I'll talk more about the pass mark. I don't know if you have the slide here, but it turns out that the pass mark is like 45%, right? So, did not pass the CA. Do you understand this? Yes. Did not pass the CA, did not pass the CA, did not pass the CA, definitely did not pass the CA, did not pass the CA. Do you understand what I mean? Right? Okay. And then again, I mean, just to get a sense of like what generally happens if you perform reasonably well in the continuous assessment, like I said before, the score that you need to get in the exam, your goal would be to at least get 45% just to pass, then you'll be fine, right? Normally, here's the thing, right? It's logic. If you pass the CA and you pass the exam, then you pass, right? Because the average is a pass. Pass plus pass divided by 2. The mean of pass and pass is pass, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. 1 pass plus 1 pass over 2. I did maths a long time ago, but I remember. Is it maths or arithmetic? The math majors, I don't know. So here's the thing, if you're interested in getting a sense of how these scores are interpreted, for you to pass, you must get a minimum of 45%, right? But if you're interested in like A's, A pluses, and whatnot, these are the different thresholds associated with the different marks, right? If I were you, right, I would, I don't know if you understand the concept of deferred gratification. Yes, partying is nice, and I remember when I was a student, partying is nice, but defer that, right, to at least a time, even if you are hooked on partying, get to a stage where you understand what's going on. Better not party, but start partying second year, third year when you understand exactly what's going on. I assure you, at first year, things are usually a bit confusing. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, there are probably people that will understand exactly what's going on. They'll follow things through. They'll pass the course. Actually get even A pluses, right? But the vast majority of you will probably spend, I guess, the next 1, 2, maybe 3 months trying to understand what's going on. It can be confusing. Different courses that you're doing, minors here, minors there, tutorials, tests, quizzes. It's not only course where you're doing these assessments, right? In certain minors, you're writing essays and whatnot, group presentations, if there's such a thing. So what I'm saying is you want to make sure that you use your time wisely. Now, I know mom and dad probably, or your guardian probably gave you this talk at home, right? Say you must work hard. They did that for me as well. But when I was coming here many, many years ago, and I listened, right? And I survived. I didn't fail any course, I swear. I didn't. You can go and check my transcript. I did not pass it. I mean, I did not fail. But so, this is usually very sad, right? I don't know what's going on here. I mean, when I was a student myself, I mean, cheating was not really as bad as it's become. It's like cheating has become mainstream now, right? And in this course, we kind of, cheating is a part of like different forms of what we collectively call academic dishonesty, right? So things like you pretending as though you're submitting your work, but then you just copy-pasted somebody else's work. Believe me, right? This place has been around for a very long time. I always tell people this, right? Especially the first years. This place has been around for a very long time, right? People have perfected the art of trying to identify how people can cheat. So if you think you can come up with this unique way of cheating, I assure you, you're mistaken. You'll be caught, right? Sure, maybe you'll sit through the cracks and you won't be caught, but the moment you're caught, you get a 0. That is the policy. You get a 0 for the entire CA, and you know what that means, right? You will fail. So if I were you, I'd just work hard, you know, do not cheat. Can be tempting, I know. Last year it happened. The other year was really bad, right? It happened. People thought they were smart, right? They always think they're smart. But actually you are smart, right? No, but it's true though. Are you bored? Yes? You think you're smarter than your mom and dad, right? No, but on a serious note though, but that's how life is, right? If you've done biology, you know this, right? I know I am, right? That's how it works, and they are smarter than the previous generation. That's how it works, right? So if you look at it from the perspective of like financial gains, for instance, you're probably going to be in a far much better financial position than your parents. This is how life works, right? So then it goes without saying that you are smarter than Nighton, but I know how students cheat. You'll be caught, right? So like I said, everything will be exclusively administered using the Moodle, please. Slides, everything, notes and assignments, especially take-home quizzes. You submit them using the Moodle. You log on into the Moodle, you submit that assessment. Usually there's a set deadline on the Moodle, right? So you want to make sure you submit that thing before the deadline happens, right? Procrastination. Well, there's no knocking on the door now, right? It's to just send an email. Lighton, oh, hi, sir. I didn't manage to submit an assignment, but why you had like 24 hours, in certain instances, 48 hours, 2 days, right? What were you doing? You know, procrastination. You are told to say the assessment is available. Instead of working on it right then, you decide to say, no, I'm going to do window shopping at East Park. This is a mistake here, right? Now people go, no, it's serious, right? And then you lose time. You forget, right? By the time you realize it, deadline is passed and you lose out, right? 1 mark gone. And there's no way of recovering that 1 mark, right? Unless it's like you write a makeup test assessment. In this document, I think at some stage, there are, I guess, exceptions where you're allowed to write a makeup assessment like a test or a quiz. If you are ill, for instance, that is grounds enough for you to request for a makeup assessment, right? you'll find these details in this. And please go through this. I think it should be in page number, I don't know. Should be on page number 3 somewhere called makeup assessments. So if you're sick, yes, but not where you were lazing around and you say, I didn't manage to do that. No. When you're sick, right, stamp medical report to say you were ill and you are unable to attend class. Not a mild headache, I mean you can attend class and write a quiz, right? Of course, I mean there's certain other exceptions, like I mean, last year we had a few people that had to attend funerals and whatnot. We understand that, right? But people that came to us and said, no, I stay in Kabanana or I stay in Kabulonga and I got on a bus late and whatnot. No, I mean, you should have gotten on a bus in good time, right? To come and write the quiz. But anyway, but also the other thing about the course is that communication, it's going to extensively make use of, we have a course mailing list, right? And the way it works really is, it's more or less like it augments what Moodle does. In certain instances, when an assessment is made available on the Moodle, for instance, you get a notification via email, via your UNZA assigned email. They told you about this, right? So your UNZA assigned email is your computer number at student.unza.zm. If they haven't, we shall tell the people that are going to do the Moodle training to incorporate the training about this mailing list. If they're unable to do this, we shall have a dedicated tutorial session where we shall be oriented on how to use the course mailing list. But it shouldn't be that hard for you to access your email, right? Has anyone not used email before? Me? No? Does anyone not know how to use email? Don't be sorry, okay, thank you. Yeah, so we'll work with you and make sure that both of us understand how to use email, right? But so there's this course mailing list that we use extensively. If you have a question, you just send an email to this using your UNZA assigned email, student number at student.unza.zm. You send email to this, you write a nice subject or heading stating what your problem is, and then it shall be broadcasted to everybody, right? The tutors, myself, and your colleagues, right? And so there's like a back and forth interaction. And in fact, you have not yet been added to the mailing list, but before the end of the week, hopefully before the end of next week, we shall compile the list of computer numbers, and then you shall be added here. Once you are added, you can actually access the messages, the forum posts that were sent last year and the year before. I don't know if we did that the year before, I think we did, right? So that you have a feel of what was happening last year. Also, right, it's still number 21. The thing I said, the course web page, it turns out that you can gain access to last year's notes if you want to, different things that were shared, if you just replace the 2020 with 2019, or replace the 2020, 2018 for 2018 notes, right? The slides. I don't know why you'd want to do that because things are changing. Well, maybe you would, I don't know. Is that thing correct? Oh, it's not, right? We must fix this. If this is going to be, I was going to mention this at some stage, but trying to see if we can figure out, if you can find a slot that is going to be convenient for all the different minors, and then we move these evening sessions to like maybe a morning session, so I prefer mornings myself. So the venue will change, but it's a nice venue, I guess, I don't know. If we're going to maintain this venue, we must replace the battery or something. We'll adjust this, don't worry. I hope the key is there. Okay, so, right, so in terms of like course administration, more about course administration, Lighton, yours truly, is going to be the instructor for the course. So again, whether you like me or not, I'm going to stand here. Sometimes and I'm lucky because I have an audience to practice my my jokes on, right? I want to become a stand-up comedian, right? Maybe one of these days I'll go to Lusaka Playhouse. I don't know if you understand my jokes, so, but Lighton is going to be the instructor, and then if you want to reach out to Lighton has an email address, right? You just send an email. Lighton works from the 5th floor. And yes, the elevator only goes up to the 3rd floor, so, but you're still young, you can run up the stairs or something. Room 515, that's where you find me. I'm not sure if my office hours are going to change, but I decided to maintain last year's and the year before, office hours from previous years. I don't know about Fridays have always been convenient for me. So office hours is essentially a time when you are sure you're going to find light on in the office. You can come and pop in and come for anything. If you're experiencing challenges and need clarification about what we've covered in class, come and see me between 9 and 13 without an appointment. Just walk in and you will find me there, right? But if you're unable, like if you have a lecture here and you really want to see me, you must schedule an appointment, right? So this link here will take you to my calendar where you will check the different slots, free slots. So once you find a free slot on any of the days, you can just send me or send Lighton an email and just say, I would like to come and chat to you about ABCD on such a date because I noticed there's a free slot. Do you understand this? But if you want, you can come between 9 and 13 hours every Friday. I wish this institution had petty cash. I was going to say we'll even make coffee, but there's no money here. Okay. Usually there are 2 tutors allocated to the course. So these are people that help out with the course. The people that handle the tutorial sessions. Remember I said 2 hours for each week, right? Essentially, nominally it's like hour-long session, 2-hour-long sessions in a week, right? So we generally have two tutors. And the idea behind the tutorial session is you want these more intimate groups where people can actually be able to easily work through the problem sets and ask questions, right? So in the past, we've split up the class into 4 or 5 groups, right? And then each group is handled by either one of the tutors. We haven't yet been given details of who exactly is going to be a tutor for the course, but as soon as we have this information, we shall relay it to you, and then we shall invite you to tell us, they shall send us slots where they are free, and then we shall invite you to indicate out of those slots when you think you'd want to attend the tutorial session, and then we shall form groups based on your availability. Usually the case that the maths people have similar schedules, right, or something. But anyway, we'll cross this bridge once we get there very soon. Probably next week or the week after, I think we should be able to do this exercise. Well, we already know, right, we have classes on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so we have a class tomorrow between 17 and 18, right here, I think, 2C. And then we have a class on Saturday between 9 and 10. This is wrong. I'm sorry, I do apologize for this. I don't know what I was doing here. I'll fix this. This is supposed to be 9 and 10. The 9 and 10 class is apparently supposed to be in MELT, which is on the ground floor, right? Where we were, I know it was literally a handful of people, right, attending orientation, which is quite sad, really, but those that attended orientation will probably guide you or something. Again, like if you want to get a sense of what's happening here, I mean, it's supposed to be a total of 30 weeks of lectures, right, and tutorials and assessments, right? So 15 weeks in the first term, another 15 weeks in the second term. So we have started. We are going to continue with this all the way up to the 22nd of May, unless if something happens. Okay, are there any questions? Clarifications or make friends in here, right? Friends are nice. They will remind you when you oversleep, they'll call you. Where are you? There's a quiz. Hi.
For practicals, are we all supposed to come with laptops?
Not really. We have a laboratory. I don't know if you were taken to the Odell laboratory, which was actually exclusively, it's in a bit of a mess right now. There are works taking place. But as soon as they fix that thing, I think as part of the tutorial I was talking about, we shall have the practical in the Odell laboratory. There are computers there available. So practicals are done on the computers in the Odell laboratory. And the beauty with using the computers there is they're configured with the environment that, you know, would have introduced in the traditional lecture sessions.
And again,
But you can go with your laptop in the tutorial. Well, so usually if it's a practical-oriented tutorial/lab session, you go in the lab, right? Otherwise, you go in a venue like this. Like if, let's say you are number systems, for instance, calculations and whatnot, you sit in this sort of like venue, right, where you work through the problem sets, and then the tutor is walking around helping you. I don't know. Yeah.
Are we also allowed to use the computers at any time?
In the lab, you mean?
Like, yeah.
Your computer or?
Work. Can we go there at any time?
Oh, yeah. So what we've done in the past, right? Thank you for asking. In the past, we've had a few people, and it happens, right? A few people that perhaps might not have computers already, and so we've made arrangements to identify slots where the lab is not in use. I will do a poll at some stage where I'll invite people that would want to use the lab to let me know. And then we'll come up with slots. We normally reserve slots where we tag them as being like ICT 1110 practical session. So you are free to go there during that slot. Otherwise, I mean, if they're not blocked off, there'll probably be like a lecture or a tutorial going on in there, a lab session for another course, for instance. Because there are other courses that use the course. Like I know at least 2034, the second year's stats course uses the venue. I know the people doing 3010 are probably going to be using the venue as well, 3020, no, not 3020, but 2010, for instance, right? So arrangements will be made. We shall block off sessions. And if you want, we can even block off, like last year we blocked off Saturdays, like the lab was available from 8 until somewhere around 17 on Saturday. So instead of you going to East Park, you have your breakfast and then you come to the lab and then you read and, it's always nice, right? To study, not play here. There's a lot of money being spent on you guys, right? Do you know that? For some of you, your guardians, your parents, mom and dad have worked tirelessly, right, for years, saving money, knowing that at some stage you're going to have to go to university, even though you might have a grant from the government, but maybe money is required, for upkeep and, So you want to make sure that you're serious. Now, I don't want to turn into the guardian who is giving you that pep talk, but just, I guess a present from me to you, some advice, something that I think works really well. It's a golden path, right? If you work hard, if you just stick to the routine, work hard, attend the classes, just drag yourself. All you have to do is show up, right? Come to class. Sometimes things won't make sense, sometimes they will make sense. Just come, right? If they don't make sense, you'll have picked up on the fact that things don't make sense and you spend more time on that particular component. But hey, it's up to you. Are there any other questions? Yes? Do you have a question? What's your name? Simawe. Do you have a question? Are you happy to, where are you from originally? Ndola. Yeah, I'd planned to have like a poll, so maybe we'll do it tomorrow. I want to see where people are from, right? We'll do a simple exercise before the intro tomorrow where we see regional distribution. Always nice. Is this your first time in Lusaka?
No, I was born here.
Ah, okay. Anyone who's coming here for the first time? Before this thing gets really serious, you must go to Mundawanga, right? And go and relax. It's nice. I mean, the place has been neglected, but it's nice. No, seriously. And I'm being serious here. I mean, forget about these malls and the nightclubs. Go to Mundawanga and just relax and appreciate the fact that you're going to spend the next 4 years in this wonderful environment, which is going to mold you into a productive citizen, right? Also, Lusaka Museum. Last time I went there, I haven't been there in a long time. There was a Mylon Brothers exhibit, which was quite nice. I thought that was fun, though, but I'm sure things have changed. Yes, Madam in the hoodie.
Assignments part of our CA.
I don't know. But there are no assignments. Do I have assignments in there? If there's an assignment in this document, I've made a mistake. This course, there's nothing like an assignment. It's in-class quizzes and tests. Two assessments, essentially. Quizzes, sometimes take home where you get to have 24 hours to work through the quiz, and class theory tests, so no assignments. Yeah. Yes?
Assessments, are there some instances where you're given questions are brought about on topics which you've not covered?
No, that's not fair now, is it? I mean, the whole essence of an assessment is to gauge your understanding, right? Now, maybe they do it elsewhere, but no. I mean, what's the point in trying to see if you understand something that hasn't been taught to you? Well, I'm just trying to think here. Maybe there could be a point, though, but I mean, maybe there are certain causes where they do that, right? But no. If we have scenarios like last year where there was confusion, industrial actions, and so no classes and whatnot. I mean, so certain topics are affected and we don't get to cover as much. But you are assessed on things that have been covered in class and in the tutorial sessions. But it doesn't mean that it's like if you're doing integration, right? It's not like the example, like if you did integration, right, or calculus. It's not like the example they did in class was the one that came in the exam, right? But the purpose of the assessments for this course is to gauge your understanding, and so you will only be assessed on things that have been covered in the lecture sessions.
Do you have the files already for the required software? You're going through the MIT?
They are available on the hub. The hub, you should be able to find them on the hub. So yes, you can access the hub. I don't know. I'll have to check if the service is running. I've not accessed it in a couple of weeks now, but they are available there. Yes. The reason, by the way, why you want to access them on the hub is, I guess these days you have access to AGROM, is you're pulling them from within the network, so it's going to be much faster. That's the other reason why we host them like on the local area network, right? So these are large files, gigabytes in size, but I mean, when you start downloading them, it's just within a few minutes, seconds, you download the file. So if you access them using the hub address, which is specified on page number 2, the footnote number 4 there, you should be able to find them.
And when are they actually required? Are we going to
Oh, so not really, not the first lecture. So like, when you get to start looking at this hypervisor and operating systems, I think in lecture series number 3 or 4 or something, computer software. This is like probably somewhere in March or April, April, I don't know. I'll have to check. Yes? Oh, okay. Yes?
The hub is a website?
The DC Hub is, that link is a link to, I guess what you might call server infrastructure. So it's a piece of software that tells you where you can download a particular piece of software. Just like when you're using torrents, you know that you tend to download the file from multiple sources that are connected to the hub, right? If they have that file, works in the same fashion. So this, you obviously need a DC client, you install it, and then you use this address on page number 2. We can have a tutorial session to showcase how this is. Oh no, I have a screencast showing how to do that, I think, from last year. I did that. Sorry, no need to waste time on tutorials, right? We must use time wisely here. I will send through, once people are added to the mailing list, or tomorrow, I shall have a link to the screencast. But also, when you access these slides, when you go here, and when you go to screencast, it will take you to the, but you'll be able to, the link is in there as well also. But you'll be able to access these slides here. So once you download this, go to slide number 11, and then this is a hyperlink. Go to slide number 11, click here, and then this will take you here. When you click here, you'll get to a YouTube playlist. It's a section really, which has playlists and lecture series. In there you shall find a screencast on, people had they struggled to use the hub, which is why we did the screencast. It was strange. I don't know what happened here. We spent weeks discussing computer software and people were unable to install and configure a simple piece of software. I thought we failed in trying to teach people what computer software is all about. Although this course has nothing to do with showing you how, we're not looking at how to install software here, right? Maybe you do that in ED 1020 or something. In fact, you did that in secondary school, in high school.
No.
Oh, okay. But you can install software. How many have mobile devices? Mobile phones? Yes. Do you know how to install software on mobile phones? Okay. Are there any other questions? I saw hands up. Yeah.
You said to download what? Like you said you download, then you go to that site.
No, you go here. When you go here, you get access to this page, and then you just click on screencasts, and then it will take you to a section, a YouTube playlist, where one of the videos you will find there is a video showing you how to use a DCR. Also, look up, go to Facebook, please like the page, it's dormant page. We have a DC Hub page. I created that page, right? It's on that page, if you go to Facebook, I know it's going to be easy on Facebook. I go to Facebook, in the search bar, just search list DC Hub, list Unza DC Hub. I'm sure it's probably the only link you'll find there. You click there, you'll find the screencast there as well. Just search in Facebook, search for list Unza DC Hub. And then you shall find one of the search results will be our DC Hub page. Like it, whatever, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be useful if you like it, but yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, there was a, yeah. We should probably set the rules here. Phones on silent, just like you'll never see me answer my phone in class, so you never hear my phone ring. It can be a distraction for your colleagues especially. You had a question?
How about just scanning the QR?
Yes, well, the QR code will take you to there as well. Thanks. So, I mean, everything, even though this looks nice, but it's there for a reason, right? The QR code. So you can use your phone and then you scan this and then it will take you to this link if you want. Right. Just go to Android and search for QR code read or something, and then you install one of the apps there, and then this will send you. You see this a lot. People, we put it here and in the slides, because people get confused sometimes. Where are the notes? I can't find the link. So it has to be there, right? It's always there in the links. These links are always there. In fact, even we didn't have it here. But also when you go to this link, this is like, this will take you to the different sections of the course. So when you click here, you go to Lighton's web profile, Unza web profile, and then one of the links, you find various links associated with ICT 1110, and then you click on the 2020 link. Yeah. But read this also. There is important information that I haven't spoken about in here. I printed it out not because it was supposed to be an icebreaker, but because I know there's important information. It's sad. It was sad last year and before last year when people would come through, no makeup. I'm like, but did you read the syllabus, right? It's there. It's in black and white. It spells out exactly when you're entitled to a makeup assessment, right? Oh, the calendar, when do we have class? When is the test? This calendar, there are links to the calendar also. That link, guys, that link to the calendar is dynamic, right? It's going to be changing. So when the tutorial groups are formed, those links will appear in the calendar as well, right? This link here. Are there more questions? I was going to suggest that we do, I normally prefer that we have class representative on the first day, but we'll do that tomorrow. We still have time. Tomorrow, right? We'll have elections where we get to select, if you want, we can maintain her volunteered, right? But we can sit and we'll select two representatives, people that can complain on your behalf and convey important information and whatnot. Are there any other questions? Complaints? Oh, sorry, just questions. There you go. Comments, concerns, complaints. Is there anyone who's not excited to be at UNS or something? Is there someone who was forced by mom and dad? You're going whether you like it or not. It's happened. Yeah? Who said me? Yeah, sometimes, right? Mom and dad know best, but yeah. Yes. Sorry? Oh, yeah, sure. Sorry about that. We have class on Saturday at 9, between 9 and 10. I think that's the only thing I said. But I also mentioned that I'm aware of the fact, it's a secular institution, right? But I'm aware of the fact that, sadly, but I'm aware of the fact that there's usually a number of Adventists, right, in the house. And so hopefully we should be able to fix this problem by next week or after next week, at the very least, right? And then also, I forgot something about the last page, right? Lighton is not going to be around in the week of the 24th, so we shall have a makeup class in those 3 weekends here. Those are probably, they're supposed to be Saturdays, but we'll have them on Sundays. I don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday, but it's supposed to be Sundays. So Lighton won't be around in the week of the 24th, right? You notice that I don't have a choice now, do I? But we shall have makeups beginning the following weekend. So Sunday until we, or maybe another day until we catch up. Are there any other questions?
You talked about social media platforms such as YouTube. On YouTube, you said you'll be having a live session.
No, also on YouTube I said there are times when I want us to, especially when we discuss computer software, we schedule some ad hoc live sessions. So if you are bored, you are in your room, you just hook up to your room. Internet is free here, right? And then you ask questions, but no insults, right? We'll see you.
What about Instagram? You never explained about Instagram. What are you going to post?
Oh, so it's the same. I mean, which is one of the reasons I asked Instagram or YouTube. Some people are very familiar with Instagram, so if a lot of people use that a lot, then you just have the live sessions there instead of YouTube, right? The beauty with YouTube, though, is we can archive those sessions on the playlist where we are archiving these lecture sessions. So. But more information will be sent through. If there are no questions, guys, I'll see you tomorrow tomorrow at 5 in here. Thanks.